Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
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 Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jayo Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Yamuna Tira Vanachari.
Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari.
Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jai Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana.
vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Yamuna Tira vanachari
Yamuna Tira Vanachari
Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari
Jaya Radha
Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Hare
Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayan Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudhirayet Nasta Prayesvabhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtiki Krishna Svada Mopagati Dharma Jnana Divisaha Kalona Stadisha Pranarkudunoditaha. So today we read from Srimad-Bhagavatam, 4th canto, chapter 14, the story of King Vena, text number 29. Maitreya Uvacha Itham Viparyaya Mati Papiyan Utpatam Gatha Anunyamanas Tad Yachnam Na Chakre Brashta Mangala Maitreya Vacha Itam Viprayayamati Papiyan Utpatam Gataha Anunyamanas Tatyachnam Nachakre Brashta Mangala Maitreya Uvacha Itam Viprayayamati Papiyan Utpatam Gatha Anunyamanas Tadyachnam Nachakre Brashta Mangala Maitreya Uvacha Itam Viprayayamati Papiyan Utpatam Gatha Anunyamanas Tadyachnam Nachakre Brashta Mangala
Maitreya Vacha Itam Viparayamati Papiyan Utpatam Gatha
Anunyamanas Tadyachnam
Nachakre Brashta Mangala Maitreya Vacha Itam Viparayamati Papiyan Utpatam Gatha Anunyamanas Tadyachnam Nachakre Brashta Mangala
Some Matajis.
Maitreya
Vacha
Itam Viparayamati Papiyan Utpatam Gataha Nachakre Brashta Mangalaha
Maitreya Vacha Itam Viparayamati Papiyan Utpatam Gatha Anunyamanas Tadyachnam Nachakre Brashta Mangala
Maitreya Uvacha. Maitreya said, Itham, thus, Viprayayamati, who has developed perverse intelligence. One who has developed perverse intelligence. Papiyan, most sinful. Utpatam, from the right path. Gatha, having gone. Anunyamana, being offered all respect. Tatyachnam, the request of the sages. Na, not. Chakre, accepted. Brashta, bereft of. Mangala, all good fortune. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. Translation. The great sage Maitreya continued, thus the king, who became unintelligent due to his sinful life and the deviation from the right path, became actually bereft of all good fortune. He could not accept the requests of the sages, which the sages put before him with great respect, and therefore he was condemned. Please, we will repeat together. The great sage Maitreya continued. Thus the king, who became unintelligent, due to his sinful life, and deviation from the right path, became actually bereft of all good fortune. He could not accept the requests of the great sages, which the great sages put before him with great respect, and therefore he was condemned. Purport. The demons certainly cannot have any faith in the words of authorities. In fact, they are always disrespectful to authorities. They manufacture their own religious principles and disobey great personalities like Vyasa, Narada, and even the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. As soon as one disobeys authority, he immediately becomes very sinful and loses his good fortune. The king was so puffed up and impudent that he dared disrespect the great saintly personalities, and this brought him ruination. Homa Yajna timirandasya gyananjana shalakaya chakshurumiditam yena tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya manobhishtam stapitam yena bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamhayam Dadati Swapadantikam Bandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurum Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Ragunatam Vitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakam Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srimati Bhakti Chara Swamiti Naminatya Shubhaniti Amricha Javana Prabhagala Brahma Vibhachara Brahma Nama Om Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prastantare Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Sarasvati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shamyavari Paschatyashi Deshatarine. Hare Krishna. I feel very honored and privileged to be here among all of you. And I kindly ask, before I begin this presentation, the blessing from all of you. And so I might be able to say something useful for our spiritual life. I thank you in advance. Thank you very much. And like His Holiness Badrinarayan Prabhu used to say before each one of his classes, very bright and nice classes, each bird flies according to his own flying ability. So please be pleased whatever it comes from Anakadundu Bidas. Hare Krishna. So, it was said in some previous lecture that Vena, you know him, he's really puffed up, really identified with his post and of course with his body. And this is, of course, a nice teaching for each one of us. We don't have to do like that. Although sometimes, we get some we are glorified, or we have some wealth, or we have a good wife or a good husband, whatever. We never have to become puffed up. We have always to think that this is the mercy of Krishna. And sometimes the mercy of Krishna is in a pleasurable way, sometimes is not so pleasurable, but nevertheless, everything comes from Krishna. Especially the devotee, they know this. And we know that, in Srimad-Bhagavatam we have many examples of Vena mentality, like Paundraka was already mentioned before. Paundraka was in Krishna's time. He dared to challenge Krishna himself. He said, Krishna, you are not Vasudeva. Be humble. Leave your post. Actually, he sent a ambassador, and after the assembly, the Krishna's assembly, heard, they were laughing like anything. They couldn't resist. But actually, he was so proud, and although it was childish, he had two fingers. This is. But you can see what false pride, false ego can do. It puts in such a stupid situation, and like that. And just mind other examples. I just will quote a couple of it. Another one was in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's time. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he was a magistrate. He was a judge, and he was while he was in Puri, among the other things he had to do, he was in charge also of the treasury of the Jagannath temple. And at one time there was a person, I don't really remember. Anyone remembers who was his name? Anyway, he was claiming to be God, to be Vishnu. And he had quite a lot of followers. And this was a great offense, especially in Jagannath Puri, Lord Jagannath, Baladev, Subhadra are worshipped. So he exposed this pretender and put him in jail. But this there happened to be a mystic yogi, a tantric yogi. So he cursed with this mystic power. Bhaktivinoda, His Holiness, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and all his family, and they all fell very, very ill, very sick, with high fever and so on. So also Bhaktivinoda Thakur was so powerful, this man was so powerful. And Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur understood by the mercy of Krishna where this power was hidden, was kept. It was in his hair. So he cut immediately his hair. He had a very fluent hair, And so they cut, while he was in prison, they cut his hair. And after some times, all the family member of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur got better, and also Bhaktivinoda Thakur became cured. And this person found out that he didn't have any more power. Then he killed himself. This is the apotheosis of false ego. You cannot accept, that you have no power. You are so identified with your body and whatever it is coming with it that you cannot bear, that you don't have any more power, and you kill yourself. And of course, now is somewhere in the ether, and we never know when he will come back. And another one more recent was this Bhoga Baba. The real name was Sai Baba, but is Krishna. And he was also claiming, I am Krishna, I am Krishna. And his preaching was, more or less like this. I am Krishna, you are Krishna, you are Krishna, everybody is Krishna, but there is a difference. I know that I'm Krishna. You don't know yet. But if you follow me, then in due course of time, you will be aware that you are Krishna. So this person was obviously, like Paundraka, he didn't have the fake hands, but he was, I don't want to blaspheme anyone, but he was not really an ideal character. And he left, he left in a very unpleasant way. Just before he left his body, he was crashed by some. They were making some construction. He was crashed. So the last day of his life, he was crippled in a wheelchair. And one time, His Holiness Bhakticharu Maharaj, my Guru Maharaj, he was asked, about this Baba. Jai Shri Nishingadeva Bhagavan ki jai, Srila Prahlad Maharaj ki jai. And his answer was very, very nice. So I want to share it with you. So there was one person in the audience asked, what do you think about this Baba? And Guru Maharaj said, well, Krishna has many opulences, and he enumerated, he is the most rich, the most famous, the most renunciate, and then he kept purposely last the beauty, and he is the most beautiful. And when he said that, everybody started laughing like anything. Have you ever pictured how this Baba looked like? Looked like a monkey with big hair, So he was not really very attractive from the external point of view. So if he is God, he should be the whole attractive. And he, of course, it was obvious that he was not. So in this way, he just exposed that he was not bona fide. And and there was another one in the 70s in India. This story was told me by His Grace Madhu Savita Prabhu. And it was more or less the same of Paundraka. There was this guy with two fake hands, and he put on a leaflet that he had a pandal somewhere, and on the leaflet was written, I returned, I am here, and the signature was Vishnu. Hare Krishna, pathetic. Anyway, so let's go back a little bit from the story of this false ego das King Vena. He was the son of King Anga, which was a very pious. He was a Rajarsi, he was a pious king, and of course, when King Anga understood that his son was not a very good son, and that was the only son, and what to do, So he said something that is very interesting. I want just to repeat, you already read it, but 4:13, let me see if I have it right. Here's the second one. 13, 46. Where is it? I have two of them. Anyway, just be patient 1 second. Then the king thought, a bad son is better than a good son, because a good son creates an attachment for home, whereas a bad son does not. A bad son creates a hellish home, from which an intelligent man naturally becomes very easily detached. So he understood, yeah, this is true, and because being a Rajarsi, he understood, he knew that at one point he had to leave home, and to have such a bad son, Vena was killing his playmate, he was, when he was a child, so he was really cruel and whatsoever, bad, and but he understood that this was a blessing in disguise, because to have such a bad son was ruining his atmosphere, a familiar atmosphere. So he took advantage of this, and at one point, during the night, he decided to leave everything. And it was not that easy. I mean, we are reading like this, and we think, okay, everything. But, put yourself in the shoes of King Anga. He had practically everything. He was the richest person on earth. And he had everything, he has so much power, and he also had mystic powers. We know that these Rajarsi, they have also mystic powers, like King Parikshit, for instance. He was cursed by the son of Samika Rishi, and he had the power to counteract this curse, but he didn't do it. He thought, this is a blessing. Krishna is blessing me. I'm cursed to die in 7 days. I'm blessed. So this is the intelligence that we should all have. Whatever comes is for our good. Sometimes it's pleasurable, sometimes a little less pleasurable, but nevertheless we have to accept it. So the Vena character is envious of Krishna. So whatever happens, we never have to think that Krishna is bad. And sometimes it's not so easy, but we have to think like this. And in another character that is in this canto is Daksha. Daksha had the same problem. He was so proud, and he was envious of Lord Shiva. And he got very mad when he entered the arena of the sacrifice. And when he entered, it is explained in Srimad-Bhagavatam that was like millions of sun entering. He was such an effulgent person because he was empowered by Lord Krishna, by Lord Brahma, and of course all the empowerment is coming originally from the Lord, and and this made him so proud, and everybody stood up. When a great personality comes, out of respect, everybody stands up and pays obeisances. But Lord Shiva did not. So he got very angry, and he didn't understand that Lord Shiva was just not aware that he went in. He was just absorbed in the thoughts of the Lord. He was in ecstasy, and he was not. His body was there, but his consciousness was elsewhere with the Lord. And Daksha could not understand that, and could not tolerate that he didn't stand up. So he cursed him, actually. Can you imagine? Daksha cursed Lord Shiva. So an ant is cursing an elephant. But Lord Shiva didn't care that much, And so he was excluded from the sacrifices, and his share was not given anymore to him, but he really didn't care. So what happened, that Daksha also was disrespectful to his own daughter, that happened to be the wife of Shiva, Lord Shiva, Sati. And that was too much, and after that, when Sati gave up her body by her mystic power, of course Sati was not an ordinary lady, she was the external energy of the Lord. She is the external energy of the Lord, and we have to deal with her every day, especially when you go out in book distribution. My mother said, you are in front line, and so you have to deal with Maya every day. And we also, when we are out in book distribution, we are dealing with our false ego. Every in front of us, and we have to deal with it. All our qualities, especially the bad one, are exposed when we are doing Sankirtan. And this is the blessing of the Lord to overcome these shortcomings that we have in our heart. So it is a great blessing to be out in Sankirtan, because we have the chance, the occasion, to purify ourselves very quickly. If we are intelligent and we are not blaspheming, look at this, they are all demons. Once I was in Sankirtan, traveling Sankirtan with the devotee, and he said before going out, okay, let's go to give some mercy to these almost animal-like persons. And, this is not the right attitude, Of course, they are karmis, but they are all devotee of Krishna, Everyone we will meet in the street, they are devotee of Krishna, they just don't know. So they are like children, sorry. So you cannot, treat a child, in a bad way like this, like an animal, I'm just giving some mercy to this animal that have a human form of life. The thing we have to do as a Sankirtan devotees is to love the people we are meeting. Nevertheless, they are not so nice with us. Of course, we don't have to be martyrs, if someone has a demoniac mentality like that, we don't just go there and, but no, don't worry, you are an eternal associate of the Lord. If this person is better, go to another person, more approachable. We don't have to become martyrs in the name of the Sankirtan. We have to be intelligent. Nevertheless, we have to love the person. Like I said yesterday, when they asked me, why are you here? I just want to share my happiness with you. And if you mean that, if these are not just words, if you mean it, then the people will understand. Like when you praise, sometimes, out of, Srila Prabhupada, that was instruction by Srila Prabhupada, said, you are a very nice gentleman, please accept this book, and so on. So sometimes when we are in door to door or on the street, you can say, Navina Nirada Prabhu, my good friend, he's a master of Sankirtan, really very nice. And he says, oh, you are a gentleman, I can see, you have success in your life, I can see your suit is money, and it cost maybe 2,000 euros, so I believe that you are a successful person. These books are for you, especially for the successful person. And to each person he switch, into these different categories. So we have to love the person that we have in front of us, and when we are praising them, we have to do it from the heart. Lady, your house is so clean, so nice, and cleanliness, godliness they are going together. So congratulations, you are a very nice lady. And if you mean this, her heart will melt, because of course they are in the beginning, so they are very much identified with themselves and with what they are doing. So in this way, we have to become friend of the people. This is another instruction by Srila Prabhupada. You have to become friend of the people. We don't have to challenge them. Of course, there are exceptions, like, when I was distributing and this lady was saying, you are this and this and this, and I wanted to protect the lady that already took the book, and I said, your son is a demon. But this is an extreme, Usually you don't have to go to this extreme, and just be polite, and that's all. If there is a no, just go out. No problem, next time or whatever, come and visit us. Have a nice day. Thank you for your time. If you stop them on the street, thank you for your time. Have a nice day. Like that. Always leave the persons with a nice impression of you. And among the dealings, it's also nice to have this loving relationship with them. Not too loving, especially for the ladies, because it could be dangerous. I was talking with Mataji yesterday, and I gave her some tips, but then I thought, maybe for a lady it's not proper, to flatter a businessman like this on the street, because he maybe misunderstand your intentions. Nevertheless, use your intelligence, and if you have if you have the mission in the heart, then Krishna will give you the intelligence to apply in each circumstances. Sometimes we have to improvise. Anyway, I don't want to go too much into Sankirtan. Usually Srimad-Bhagavatam should be a Srimad-Bhagavatam lecture, not a Sankirtan speech. But anyway, there was another interesting point in this story is what Srila Prabhupada said about monarchy. This is really interesting. He said that monarchy, this is in a purport, I just want to, is very short. Let me see where it is. 20, I think. Okay, I got it immediately. This is the previous chapter, text number 20, in the last few. No, it's not this one. I got it wrong. Oh yeah, no, it's this one. Monarchy is better than democracy because if the monarchy is very strong, this is a purport. The regulative principles within the kingdom are upheld very nicely. Even 100 years ago, in the state of Kashmir in India, the king was so strong that if a thief was arrested in his kingdom and brought before him, the king would immediately chop off the hands of the thief. As a result of this severe punishment, there were practically no theft cases within the kingdom. Even if someone left something on the street, no one would touch it. The rule was that the king the things could be taken away only by the proprietor, and no one else would touch them. And in democracy, wherever there is anyway, I don't read it because we are living in different democracies and we know what happens. I don't know here in Germany, but in Italy, if a thief comes in your house and you catch them, they can sue you in court because you did not allow him to escape. And this crime is called kidnapping. Can you imagine, where we are living, I mean, I catch a thief in my house, I keep it there, so I call the police so they can arrest him, and he saw me in court because I kidnapped him. And he wins. He wins. This is the point. He wins. If you shoot them, then you are in jail for life. This is crazy. No wonder Srila Prabhupada said, demon crazy, democracy, the demon crazy. They are crazy, So one time a journalist went to a state where this law was still in these days, there are still some states where this law is the law. If you are stealing, they chop your right hand. First they ask you, are you right or left? If you say you are right, they chop your right hand, and then second time the left hand. So this journalist went to one of the ministers that was supposed to interact because he had to write an article on this state. And this minister was interviewed, and so the journalist said, but don't you think, this is very cruel, maybe someone is the first time he's stealing something and you chop off his hand, don't you think this is cruel? And so the minister told him, did you went around our kingdom for some times? How long have you been here? And he said, a week. So did you see around? Yeah, yes. Did you went to the market? Yes. Did you went downtown? Yes. And did you ever see anyone without one or two hands? And the journalist said, no. And the minister said, so it works. Understood the point? So, the people were, okay, better don't, because otherwise, I will be, like in South America, they say, de vaca. Mano de vaca is the hand that doesn't open. This is a saying for a person that is not very generous. Is that correct? Yeah, mano de vaca. I don't. When they give charity, they go like this, but they don't drop the money inside. So. Anyway. So, and going back to the blessing of, in this King Anga, that to have a bad son, we have also the example of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada wanted to be the richest person in India. And what happened? If you read the Lilamrita, it's amazing, really amazing. Srila Prabhupada practically went bankrupt. He was, one place was on fire, this and that, and he was practically left with nothing. On top of that, his Guru Maharaj was coming in his dreams, you have to take sannyas, you have to take sannyas. And he was thinking, whoa, this is horrible. But then, the drop that made him decide was when his wife sold the Srimad-Bhagavatam to buy tea. And that was, okay, that's enough. I understood what Krishna wants from me, and he went away with no money, with no nothing, and we know the story. So, but why? because Krishna had another plan for Srila Prabhupada, much greater than what he was thinking of. Like when Dhruva Maharaj was praying for a kingdom bigger than his great-grandfather, then Krishna gave him something even more than he had before. This is also in this kind. And he gave him the pole star. That was not. It was there, but it was not. Nobody was there in this kingdom, and so and I had the same experience, and I would like to share it with you, just because Srila Prabhupada is Srila Prabhupada, but each one of us can be blessed in such a way. Before I joined, also when I joined, I was running a dental technician studio, on my own. So I was the boss, and boss of my own self, because I was alone. I didn't have any employees. But anyway, I was the boss. And then I met the devotees, and when I started to deal with the devotees, chant 60 rounds, I went, and I didn't went to the temple yet, but I was going practically every weekend, and all my spare time, all my holidays were to the temple. I started to do service for the temple, chanting my 16 rounds, following the principle. I changed all the atmosphere of my studio. There was Krishna all over the place. I had Krishna books, instead of magazines, and we had also the BTG in Italian. Anyway, so when I started to chant Hare Krishna, a lot of people came, not devotees, regular people, So I had really a lot of success. So I understood, maybe Krishna wants me to help the devotees. So I started to give bigger and bigger the temple. And at one point I was practically maintaining, it was not a big temple, it was a preaching center, but became a temple because the deities came, and although they were not installed, but and we had this preaching center had really a lot of success. So many people were coming. Were coming there. So I felt very that I could be helpful to the Sankirtan movement, although I was not in prime line. I was not in the front. And one time I was in Sankirtan. It was the first time I was in Sankirtan, and want to share it with you. Very nice experience, and I was very timid. I shared with you that I was very timid, and so when the devotee asked me to go out in Sankirtan, I said, I will come, but please, I will just watch. Maybe I can carry the books for the Sankirtan devotee, but I can, don't make me distribute books, please. And they say, okay. Went with the devotee. There was a group of devotees, actually. They split in a city. And I went with the devotee, Bhakta Maurizio, which later became Madhava Krishna, my god brother with the same spiritual master. And he was very nice, very, very clever, sense of humor. And when he was distributing the books, I felt so happy in my heart, although he was distributing, but somewhere or other I felt very, very nice. So it was winter time, and the evening came very, very quickly, and it was very dark. So he was proposing the books to a shop, a tire shop, where they sell tires for the cars, and the owner refused. Then we went out, and he said, now I know you are a smart guy. And I started to tremble. Yes, I'm not so smart, but if you say so. And he said, now you know what to do, you know what to say, you have the books, so I'll go that way, you stay here, don't cross the street. Remember that ahead 1 kilometer, they will pick us up with a van, and see you at 7 o'clock. Bye-bye, and he disappeared in the dark. And I was completely frozen. I was there with 3 books in my hand, Bhagavad Gita, Nectar of Devotion, and Krishna book, and I was completely panic. I didn't remember anything what he said, but that I was supposed to be at that, I had 1 kilometer at 7 o'clock to be picked up. And I was just standing there, and I didn't know where to go, right or left, or I was completely in panic. And I saw one person coming towards me. It was pitch dark, coming towards me. And when he came more near, I recognized he was a customer in the previous shop. And he looked at me and said, if I give you this, and he gave me like the equivalent of 50 euros. If I give you this, would you give me your books that you have on your arms? And then I woke up from my, craziness, and I said, yes, of course. And I exchanged the money with that. In that moment, something exploded. A crazy happiness coming, and I started to run here and there. I didn't, I started to run here and there to find someone to give the books, and at the end, after 1 hour, I distributed 7 books. And when I went back, on the van, I felt something in my heart that was not happiness, was something else. I never experienced anything like that. And I made a wish. I said, okay, now I'm helping the devotees with the Lakshmi that is coming from my work. But if by any chance my work will fail, and it was really flourishing in that moment, my desire is to become a book distributor. And amazingly, the next day, one devotee, the initiated devotee, came and said, I am a doctor and I am a dentist. So I said, wow, I was looking for you because I was in medical school, but I didn't finish, so I needed technically someone who was already graduated as a dentist. And so I gave him, full credit, and in this time when I saw a devotee, especially initiated devotee, I saw, Vishnu with 4 arms, So I had full faith that he was bona fide. But he was not. He was a associate of Vena. He was not a dentist. But I found out sometimes later. Actually, he ruined completely my job, completely. He was blaspheming me when I was not present. Fortunately, our assistant that we had, because I had to hire an assistant because so many people were coming in that period, she called me and said, Antonio, this new doctor is blaspheming you, saying that you are not yet a doctor, you don't know what to do, which was not true, of course. And so I fired him, and he went to another temple and did to Krishna. Anyway, so after some times, the people that he treated, they came back, and everything he did, and he worked like 6-7 months with me. Everything he did, it was completely wrong. I had to redo it with no charge. But of course, this was a very bad advertisement, very, very, very bad. And after 1 year, for 1 year, I practically work for nothing. I have to just repair. But of course, these clients were not satisfied, and because it was a small village, the voice spread, and in no time, nobody came to my studio. So at one point, I decided, what is worth, to just work, just to pay the expenses. I was not helpful to the devotees, so I decided to close and to become a Sankirtan devotee. And from that moment on, that things went much, much better. So you never know if this is a blessing or a curse, but just always think that this is the mercy of Krishna. Like King Anga and Srila Prabhupada. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for your attention. And if there are any questions or comments on what we said so far.
If there's no other question, I started reading your book. This is for you. And here in Germany, the devotees, they address the people on the street, sorry, are you from here? And the people, yes, can I help you? What do you think? What would you say? What is the best term to address, to stop people?
Oh, to stop people, I'm not a real expert. The only thing that I know is that you have to surprise them a little bit and flatter them. His Grace Manidhar Prabhu, he's more expert than me. He can give you a whole lecture about that. Navinanvira Prabhu is really excellent in that. And but whatever I said to the people that I met was, sometimes I did the street, but between one house and one house and another. And usually when I see a person that looks like a doctor, I say, hey, doctor, how are you? And if he's a doctor, he's puzzled and stops because he becomes curious. If he's not a doctor, he becomes flattered. He says, oh, I look like a doctor. So he stops also. So in this way, I don't know, I just gave you an idea. And don't misuse these things, just be sensitive, in the dealings. And so I was just, this is for you. We are around, we are missionary. This is because I present myself as a missionary. And I have always went in attire, in devotee's attire with dhoti, kurta. Sometimes with very light tilak. And at the end, I didn't put the tilak externally. I just put it with a mantra and with water, because one time in door to door it was very hilarious, and I rang, and there was someone inside who was looking on the what is called this, anyway, when you look from, there is a lens that is magnifying you, this, and they didn't open. And then I heard from inside, who was it? I don't know, but he had a band-aid on the nose, so I didn't open. A band-aid. So then from that on, I just put the tilak. You have to be sensitive to place and circumstances. So that could be a disturbance, So I said, so the people will feel. So we have these books. This is the art of never getting angry, and this was the basic, the key phrase that I used, and then I will elaborate whatever book I gave them on the base of this phrase, Could be the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita, could be Srimad-Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita. It's very very nice mantra, and you can, if you think about it, you can relate it to all Srila Prabhupada books in a way or another. So it's very, very nice. I hope to have been useful. Prabhuji, you have a question? You don't have it anymore. Okay, change his mind. Any other questions? Or comments?
Krishna. Akila Prabhu just mentioned, and you also mentioned it to me yesterday, that you have a book, but I didn't find it in the bookshop, so where can I get it?
I bought quite a lot of them. I gave it to Vedasara Prabhu, and I brought maybe 50, and there were about 4 left from the last time I was here. The title of the book, there are none now? Oh. Anyway, Vedasara Prabhu has maybe 50 copies of my book. And this book is called, it's not an advertisement for myself, I just, gave this book as a donation to the temple because they paid the ticket from Mayapur to here and back. So, and I also have some CDs that I burned for the people that I'm following up. I'm also now following up, but in a very small scale, just on messages and calls. Before I went in prime person every year to visit them. Anyway, this is for you. That is, quite. And there is the right hand of Srimati Radharani in a very special position. It's not like this. It's not like this. It is like this. That means almost dancing. And this is the best, the most ecstatic mood that Srimati Radharani has when she's just beginning to dance. Like Ugra Nishinga, when comes out from the pillar, he's the maximum of anger. Then when Srimati Radharani is like this, is almost dancing. That means that her blessings are just, flowing like anything. So this is for you is also that because there is the picture of the hands of the right hand of Srimati Radharani on the cover, on the front cover. So this is my legacy for all the book distributors. When I wrote it, I was still going out steadily every day and doing marathon, 12 hours a day, 2 times in a year, summer marathon, winter marathon, by the mercy of Krishna for more than almost 30 years. And but I understood that this body is not eternal, so I had to quit sooner or later this service in that way. And so I wrote all these realizations that came from Krishna very kindly to Anakadundu Vidas. And so I thought, that Srimad-Bhagavatam is... I don't want to compare my book with Srimad-Bhagavatam. Don't think about it. But it's just the idea, Srimad-Bhagavatam is it was presented by a good friend of mine, the stories of the dynasty of the great kings, which is very, appealable. Wow, this looks very interesting. And he was so expert. He could present from first canto to 12th canto, just taking some glimpse from one, the second, third, and he like a thread, he put it all together, and the presentation was wonderful. When he did it in the first Sankirtan meeting, Sankirtan seminar that we had, and all the devotees were standing up and clapping him, standing ovation. Wow, never heard anything like that. And I thought that because in Srimad-Bhagavatam there are so many stories, they are very easy to remember, like Vena, Vena is nice story, Dhruva Maharaj Parikshit, you can mention 100 of them. And also dialogues, about these topics, so they are very easy to remember, the stories. So I figured out that all these realizations that Krishna gave me, I was addressing telling stories that were proving that what the title of the chapter is something that we have to believe, we have to understand that is coming from Krishna, Like one time, do I have time to tell one story just to explain? Do I have time or not? Sure. Yes? One. Like Krishna is fulfilling all desires. Is that true? Yeah, it is written also in this chapter. I wanted to elaborate that, but there is not enough time. Anyway, so Krishna is fulfilling all the desire, especially the material desire. But for the devotees, he fulfills the desire sometimes, like King Anga, in sending a bad son. So one time there was a well-wisher of Krishna in our temple, preaching center, and temple also. and he had his own business, and he was very successful. And at one time we needed a safe for the money to put in a wall, because we were out in the country, so it might be dangerous. It was in a very big city, but really out in the country, so we had to keep the Sankirtan money safe before going to the bank. So he did it, and he didn't want to be paid. He did it as a service. And then after 1 month, he came to the temple. He used to come to the Sunday feast with a brand new race car, rally race car, Lancia Delta Integrale, 4-wheel drives. In this period, it was the early 90s. The early 90s. This rally car was always the first one, always. First, second, and third. No, there was no comparison to other cars. So he brought this one. It was yellow, and I told him, wow, you have a new car. And he said, yes, because Krishna is fulfilling all the desires. I said, wow, that's good. And he said, yes, because, I read somewhere, I don't remember, that Krishna, if you give something, he gives you 1,000 more. I said, yes, and even more than 1,000. Yes, but he said 1,000, and he was insisting on that. And so he said, when I put the safe, I spent 300, there were liras at the time, but anyway, 300 euros. And then I was gambling. And at that time, we had this, like lottery, something like that. You have to get right now some numbers, and this number came out, and he won exactly 1,000 more. That was exactly the same amount to buy this car that he was dreaming of for so many years. So he got exactly 1,000. It was like, anyway, you do the math. I'm not very good in that. Anyway, so he was very happy, and he got a lot of faith that Krishna is really fulfilling. He's a real person. And after some times, Bhakti Bringa Govinda Maharaj came. He just got sannyas that same year. He came for the Ratha Yatra. And at one point, he had to go back. I will make it short. But anyway, I was supposed to take him around because he wanted to buy a present for a friend of him. And he wanted a cashmere sweater. But it was summertime. So, I called. At the time, there were no internet. There was no internet, no email, no nothing. So we had just the telephone. So I called different shops, and they said, oh, yes, we have 1-2 pieces, but, we are out of season. So, this cashmere wool, is in fade in November. We are in July, so it's not available. We just have 2 or 3 pieces. And all the shops I called. So we went one shop, and he said, no, these are not good. Went to another shop, said, not good. And we had like 3 or 4 shops to go yet. And I told Maharaj, sorry to interrupt your search, but we have to go to the temple and pick up your bags and take you to the airport. Otherwise, you will lose the flight. And he said, one more. So I was a newcomer, so what to do? He's a sannyasi. I cannot insist. So I took him to another shop, and then he said, I didn't find anything. Let's go to another shop. And I again told him, excuse me, Maharaj, I don't want to be insisting, but the time is ticking in, and you will lose your flight. And he said, lose my flight? No way! If I lose this flight, then I will lose the whole flight. He had a present from some well-wisher, and he had a ticket for the whole world. But if he missed one piece, then the whole thing was gone. So he said, no, I cannot do that. And then I said, well, maybe it's better to go back and pick up your things and go to the airport. I said, but just one more. I said, okay, so we went one more, and then it was too late. And so I called the temple, and said, we are out of time because we don't have much more time. We don't have enough time to go to the airport. What to do? Maharaj cannot lose this flight. So the temple president said, call Roberto, that was his name. Call Roberto and tell to borrow his car. And the only one able to drive was me. So before I tell this, my desire before many years before was to drive a rally car, of course. But anyway, so Roberto said yes. So I went and I picked up this car. I never drove such a fast car, never. So when I was going from the place of Roberto to the temple, I said, okay, I have to try, what I have under my hands. So I put the second gear on, and there was a curve like this, 90 degrees. Put the second gear on, and then I pushed the pedal, the gas. And the four-wheel drive is like you have a train on tracks. It doesn't go anywhere. Wherever you steer, there it goes. And it was so fast that everything I had in my pocket came out. It was like this. I said, wow, that's dangerous. So I have to get used to it. So I went in the temple, and with one maneuver, I just and the devotees were like, a Formula One team. They were ready with the luggage, put it inside, and Maharaj went in and I said, put on the seatbelt. He put on the seatbelt, and he didn't know what kind of car was that. And then I started, and actually, I made a record, because from the temple to the airport, we got in time, and I had an average speed of 240 kilometers per hour. Average. And the tachymeter, what is the name of tachymeter? Yeah, where you get the speed, Here there was 240, and then there was a space between the 240 and the 0, no? And so many times the thing was going like this, over 240. So it was really, and no police car on the highway, no nothing. I was just smooth. When I got down, I was shaking like anything. All the adrenaline. I was not afraid, but all the adrenaline, because I was not used to it, and it was quite an experience. Maharaj got scared only once, because we had only 2 lanes, and I was flashing the light like a machine gun. So the people, because in no time, when I was at 140 kilometers per hour, and I pushed, it was like I stopped and I started. It was boom, like this. It was really a really fast car, and so one time there was one car that was passing another, so she went back, and when I was about 2 meters from her, she came back again. So I had to pass in the 3rd lane that was not there, So Maharaj was, Haribol, 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 like this. But, fortunately, 1 millimeter from one side and 1 millimeter from the other side, by the mercy of Krishna. Maybe Krishna shrink the car, I don't know. But I just went through and we came in time. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So Krishna is fulfilling all desires. Be careful of what you desire. Krishna will give it to you. Haribol. Jai Srila Prabhupada ki jai.